Welcome to FootballGamePlan.com, where football makes sense. I'm alongside Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and I'm Tyler Merkovich, and we're bringing you our 2010 Big Ten Conference preview. And let's start out with Illinois, 3-9 last year. Ron Zook on the hot seat, entering his 6th year. He brings in Paul Petrino, Bobby Petrino's brother, over from Arkansas. He has two quarterbacks battling, but a good thing. Last year, they rushed for 200 yards per game. Michael LaShore, Jason Ford running behind Hugh Thornton and Jeff Allen, who was All-American 2 years ago, freshman All-American, and Jared Faison, the Florida transfer, who's really coming on. So how are they going to fix this offense and get it going?
Well, you look at LaShore, he should flourish in that new offense because he's 6 feet 230, the next in line of the great Illinois running back, so he should have a big season. And you also look at the quarterback, Nathan Shalhaz. He's going to do fine in that system because he can throw the football. They have quality wide receivers, and the O-line is going to help out tremendously.
On defense, Vic Honing takes over, formerly of Kansas State and Clemson. Martez Wilson, their star linebacker, is back, and Miami Thomas, another cornerback to give them depth, also was lost for the year last year. Terry Hawthorne and Tavon Wilson are two good corners. Ian Thomas, the lead tackler, is back, and defensive end Clay Nurse had 10.5 stops behind the line of scrimmage, and this is really the focal point because last year they were a sieve on defense.
Well, you got to keep an eye on defensive lineman Michael Buchanan in that position, that bandit position. He's going to be a tremendous playmaker for the Illini. You also keep an eye on freshman cornerback Ernest Thomas because he's going to come in, step in right away, and expect to provide huge dividends for the Illini.
Indiana Hoosiers, coming off a 3-8 year, they saw some promise last year in Bill Lynch's 3rd year. Ben Chappell completing over 62% of his passes, but running back Darius Willis was 13 Big Ten as a redshirt freshman, almost 5 yards per carry, but the problem was that offensive line dipped. 2 years ago, 167 yards per game, 50 yards less per game on the ground. Tandon Doss and DeMarlo Belcher are great wide receivers for Chappell, so can this offense keep it up?
Yeah, it can. You look at those wide receivers you just mentioned, they're the best tandem in this group. They're the strength of that team, that offense, so you have good wide receivers. You look at Willis and Turner, two talented tailbacks, outstanding duo in the Big Ten. O-line, even though they lost Safford, they still can compete. And I also think Ben Chappell is the most underrated quarterback in the Big Ten. He still has to cut down on interceptions, though. I'm not going to let him slide on that one.
On the defensive side of the ball, they want to show a 3-4 system because their third down defense was terrible last year. Only 3 returning starters on defense. The brothers, linebacker Tyler Rapogel and defensive tackle Adam Rapogel, they're going to lead the defense with JUCO guys at cornerback, Andre Cates, Lanyata Kyles, and Adrian Burks at cornerback. They really need to get their defense stronger.
Well, speaking of the 3-4, that's all falls on Larry Black Jr., the defensive tackle. That's where you have to be stout up front. He has to command double team, free up those outside linebackers to get to the quarterback. And you also look at JUCO linebacker Jeff Thomas has to come in and play right away and be an impact player for the Hoosiers, and that's going to help out that defense because the 3-4 puts your best athletes on the field.
The Hawkeyes of Iowa with an 11-win season, ending their season in Miami with an Orange Bowl victory over ACC winner Georgia Tech. Kirk Ferentz, a model of consistency. Ricky Stanzi's back for his senior year. Jewel Hampton was lost for the year last year, but they just plug in Adam Robinson. He had an effective year. Darryl Johnson-Koulianos and Marvin McNutt give Stanzi a couple good targets, and Riley Reef, their left tackle, and left guard Julian Vanderveld are going to lead that offensive line.
Well, the offensive line is a big key because, you know, they're always a good, solid group. Stanzi has to cut down on the spotty ball security at times. He's a tremendous leader. He can move the offense along with those dependable wide receivers. They provide a workmanlike effort, but Stanzi has to eliminate those ball control issues that plague him at times. But you want to keep an eye on true freshman tight end C.J. Fedorowicz. Outstanding player, one of the top tight ends in the country. I was able to snag him. Look for him to play a lot as a true freshman.
And on defensive side of the ball, their secondary is led by strong safety Tyler Sash. They only lose one starting defensive back. They held their opponent's quarterback under 50% completion rating, 21 interceptions, only 9 TD passes allowed. So that's good. But the defensive line led by Adrian Claiborne. I love this guy, defensive end. Carl Klug, defensive tackle. And it's just, they got no experience at linebacker, but defensive line and corner and the secondary is there.
Well, you mentioned Klug. Klug is a key cog in that defense because he's going to help keep those linebackers that are inexperienced the freedom to run to the football, so that's going to help out the defense a lot. Secondary, you mentioned Bernstein and Castillo. Those are two talented cornerbacks, defensive backs that's going to play lights out across the field, get their hands on a lot of balls and break up a lot of passes. So that defense is going to continue to be strong Fire.
Michigan Wolverines coming off a disappointing 5-7 year. Rich Rodriguez enters his 3rd year on the hot seat. Quarterback job is Tate Forcier's. The true freshman played well last year, but look out for Denard Robinson, true freshman Devin Gardner. They're going to give him a push. Junior Hemingway is their big receiver. They also got a lot of small guys who can have defenses on their feet when they catch the ball in space. The offensive line, Steven Schilling leads it. Perry Dorstein and Taylor Lewan, a redshirt freshman, are going to man that O-line.
Yeah, the O-line is the best unit on this team, and Steven Schilling is a future NFL player. I also really like wide receiver Montavious Odom, a guy that's going to be a tremendous playmaker for the Wolverines this year. And I also believe that Denard Robinson is a better quarterback in that system than Tate Forcier. So look, I would start Robinson over Forcier. You see he fell a little bit late. Robinson getting the game, the offense looked a lot better, in particular against teams like Purdue and Indiana, where they were able to move the football down the field. So you want to get Robinson in the game as much as you can.
Well, if Robinson's accuracy could improve, that would be a huge help because he is dangerous with his feet. Greg Robinson's first year with a 3-4 system did not pan out well. They gave up over 170 rush yards per game, only 22 sacks, and they really need to get back to their 06 form where they had 43 sacks. Sophomore nose tackle Will Campbell will be a big part of that if they do that. Mike Martin also on the defensive line. Craig Rowan, up-and-coming linebacker, to go with senior Obi Aze, and Troy Wolford really needs to help that secondary out because they were getting burned last year.
Yeah, but you want to keep an eye on redshirt freshman Justin Turner, 6'2", 197. What you're used to seeing from Michigan cornerbacks of size. They are a little bit undersized right now, except Turner, big guy back there, so he's going to do well for the defense. And Mike Martin, you mentioned, is a key guy in that 3-3-5 defense. He has to hold it down up front, and those linebackers have to do better in run defense. They were ranked 91st in the country in stop and run. They have to get better.
Michigan State coming off a bowl loss to Texas Tech. They finished their season 6-7. Mark D'Antonio doing a good job. Kirk Cousins is going to have the starting role at quarterback to go with 2 sophomores, Larry Caper and Edwin Baker. They complement each other well. Wide receivers B.J. Cunningham, Mark Dell, Keshawn Martin, and tight end Charlie Gant. But it's the offensive line that is strong. Even though they only have 2 returning starters, they only let 14 sacks up. They must stay productive, and that is key.
Yeah, that O-line will surprise this year, and I expect those sophomore tailbacks to make a huge jump this year, so that's going to help out tremendously on that offense. And I love their wide receiver core. They have the best unit, I think, in the Big Ten with Dale Cunningham. You mentioned Nickel now as the wide receiver, and also Martin is going to be a future star for the Spartans, so that's key. You also look at Cousins; he's an unquestioned leader of that offense, so expect big things out that offense for Michigan State this year.
And on defense, they only allowed 113 yards per game, under 3.5 yards per carry. But their pass yards per game need to improve on defense, led by Trenton Robinson at free safety and cornerback Chris L. Rucker. But it's all about Greg Jones, first-team All-American. They also have Eric Gordon, who's good. And the defensive line needs to step up. Look for impact freshman Will Golston to get at DN, maybe a little D-tackle, and make an impact.
Yeah, that D-line is solid, but not spectacular, so they're working like group. And also, you look at linebacker Greg Jones, who's gotten better every year, which is important, so he's going to be a star in the NFL. But keep an eye on redshirt freshman linebacker Max Below, a guy that's 6'2", 238, with a lot of aggressiveness. That's what I like about a linebacker, so he's going to play a lot in that defense this year.